Christian friends, this is Bishop Young, and we're glad to be able to come into your presence again around the world. And there are things that we desire you to know about this book, Revelation. Well, not me, but God Himself desire you to know. Now, to those nations around the world that are not Christian-oriented, this book is for the servants. And we want you to understand that our God Himself gave this book to Jesus to show unto His servants. And if you are not a servant of the Lord around the world, apparently this book is not for you. Now, let me show you a distinction about this great book, Revelation. The Apostle Peter and the apostles read the epistles of the Apostle Paul, and it may surprise some of you to know that the Apostle Paul, the Apostle Peter, or any of the apostles, and I want to make it quite clear that during the time that the epistles of the Apostle Paul was being read in Jerusalem among the apostles, that even John himself, who wrote this great revelation on the Isle of Patmos, he had not yet gone there to write this great work. So you see how privileged you are. The way that God gave the law to the Jews, God gave this book of Revelation to the servants of His Son. And those are things we want you to be aware of, that you can be part of the receiver of this book wherever you are around the world, if you are not Christ-oriented. And somewhere down the line, God said the same. We will tell you how simple that is to be a part of this great book. Now, some may say, well, who is God that He would decide to give the book of Revelation to the servants of the Lord Jesus Christ and not give it to the rest of the world? Well, I'm glad you asked. I will simply go back to the 20th chapter of this very book, and I will tell you from the 11th chapter, as I will frequently resort. 20 and 11 says, "And I saw a great white throne, and Him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away." In other words, Genesis 1 and 1 was dissolved. So therefore, if you are on earth, or if you plan to go to heaven, let this bishop be the first to tell you that if it is going to pass away, if it is going to flee at His coming, if heaven and earth is going to be clean dissolved. And they are going to flee at the presence of the great white throne and him that sat thereon. That is all inclusive. It includes every nation that is not of Christendom. So the Christians are extremely privileged to have God before whose face heaven and earth is going to flee. They are privileged for him to send down this book to them that the apostles themselves did not have the opportunity to read. And as we say, that as he gave the laws to the Jews, he gave this revelation to the servants. And they are on the same footage, because that first verse says, God gave unto Jesus to show unto his servants. Now that is well to be taken into consideration, and it is well for you to understand that if you don't belong to the Christendom household of faith, well, be prepared for destruction. Be prepared for condemnation. Be prepared to try and attempt to stand when the planet Earth that you are on, after reeling to and fro like a drunkard, is going to be clean dissolved. And we thank God today because we are in Revelation, and I just want to first of all do a quick review of that 7th verse and look at this extreme reality. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him. That is an extreme reality with all kinds of disproportionate functions. And we have to be able to see this and understand this before it takes place. Because when he comes, it is too late. There's no place to stand. There's no place to run. There's no place to hide. This same book said, men shall desire to die, but death shall flee from them. Now, in verse 10 as a review, we hear John say, I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day. And we talked about being in captivity.